Hi guys, Alan here. I was reflecting on today and you heard of the saying that says, if you build it, they will come. You know, throughout the centuries, that has been the motto of humanity. You build it and they will come. Well, there's a city in China that was built to occupy about 1.5 million people. It was a big project. And as of today, I don't think there's 100,000 people there, and it's like a ghost town. You can check it out. What happens when people don't come? What happens when what you advertise doesn't work? You know, I'm a salesman. And if there's one thing I know, is marketing and strategy. Two things you have to know when you do anything in life: where to get in and where to get out. I have my fair share of gambling, and I know that I cannot bet the house because I will still need a place to go when my luck runs out. You build it and they will come. Cities throughout the country, United States, have flourished and then have come down. In the recent real estate boom, there was a new venture for American to again try one more time to repopulate the cities that were once practically abandoned. As we go throughout the country, we see some of those cities now in turmoil. You build it and they will come. But also, people have to have a reason to stay, to flourish, to live there. There are three essential parts that any human being needs besides food and shelter to stay anywhere for a long period of time: safety, security, and stability. As you go throughout the cities and you go point one by one and you look at the political ambient, can you guarantee people these three things for them to bring their wealth, their businesses, their families, to raise their children? If you can't, then you have some work to do, and you have to do it fast. There's another saying that says, be careful what you wish for. We are living in times where the things that people say is never good enough. Whether it's one side or another, somebody always gets offended. Perhaps some right now, they believe they have leverage over other people and they think that their offense is more important than other people. But through history, and I love history, tells us that that is always temporary. In the end, people will leave you standing with your pride, and they will leave and never come back. The problem I have is that we constantly talk about this utopia, this place where everybody is equally happy and fair. And in the end, all we have left is abandoned cities with very unhappy people. It takes more than just a desire to stand on your principles to have people to respect you. You have to start respecting people first. It's always been the rule. A lot of people demand respect by being disrespectful. You will always get what you have, what you will always reap what you sow. A lot of people go on vacation throughout the world to places where people are very humble and very welcoming. Sometimes, even at their own expense, people go in there with their arrogance and their big money, and people will still take it because there is an interest to it. That means jobs, that means a better life than keeping an arrogant deserted place. As we know just recently from the 80s experience and the 90s, how many cities were devastated by the abandonment of businesses and investors. You ask yourself, is your pride more important than your livelihood? Is being offended more important than you having safety, stability, security? If maybe somebody making a mistake once here and there is intolerable against all the things that benefit you, is the scale being balanced right? Everybody had a fair share of insults in their lifetime, whether it was in high school, junior high, jobs. But if every time somebody insulted you, you stopped your life and you stood your ground on pride, then we all be living in an island in a desert. We have to compromise for the sake of living a life in a society that can thrive. People get angry, people get unfair sometimes, people get unjust. We all do it. And that is the problem. Why is it that somebody can have more power than other people when something happens to them at the expense of their own? Let's say today you decided that in your town you no longer will accept something, and the people from the other town decided they're no longer going to accept you. Now where do you have to go? There's a reason why the world is not as prosperous as America. In America, we work our problems. Did you know that what we call 50 states, some people consider 50 countries? What Arizona needs, California may not need. What California needs, Utah may not need. But is this compromise that if something happens to California, Utah and Arizona will come to the rescue? Or if something happens in Oregon, Washington and Utah, or California and Arizona will come to the rescue? We are brothers and sisters. It's hard to understand when everything is quiet. But our brotherhood among the states is always there. When there's a hurricane in the East Coast, we have our first responders from California going over there and help. We have National Guard from all over the country go and help during earthquakes, snowstorms. We are all in this together. But if you prefer to live in a ghost town When you stand in your pride and you become intolerable because you will never allow somebody to express themselves, and you are so likable that everybody has to love you, then that is called a utopia, and often only exists in the mind of the insane. We all have flaws and reasons to not be liked, but that doesn't mean you're going to tear down the ground you're standing on to make your point across. Life is very imperfect, but it's united and unity that helps us get through the obstacles. Today we face perhaps the biggest obstacle we have in the last probably 50 years. Beyond natural disasters is a disagreement. If we go from state to state, people have different opinions and views. Perhaps what works in your state may not work in another. And perhaps if you don't welcome them in your state, they will not welcome you in theirs. At the end, it's a deadlock, it's a gridlock, and everybody loses. Cities will become deserted. And the people that most people stand for, which is always the reason for everything, the poor people, is always the one that loses. From America to every country in the world, it's always been the reason of an excuse to behaviors that are sometimes irreparable. People behave certain ways with the excuse to help somebody else. In the end, it doesn't help them, and it hurts who they claim to help. When a business goes down, it doesn't just go down with the owner. It goes down with the employees, with the suppliers. I experienced somebody that told me that because of what happened, he lost 8 accounts. His family hurts. Today, now we see the economy having a hard time growing because of the instability. Not only we're dealing with a tremendous challenge called COVID-19, which has been politicized to no repair, which has all people confused in every state, but nobody cares at the end of the day. What is it going to take for people to understand? Is it a comet? It is possible. An asteroid? Sometimes we have to surrender some of our ego and that pride for something greater, so that we can have a union that is often more perfect than none, and that can give a chance to our little ones that are terrified out there. If I was a 7-year-old today, I would be scared to death. If I was a 65 or a 75-year-old man today, with what's going on, I would be terrified. Luckily, there's still a lot of good people and reasonable people out there paying attention to all the signs. But there's a lot of people who, regardless, don't care. But I guarantee you, none of them would like to live in a ghost town. And all you have to do is open your internet and Google ghost towns around the world, where people came and left because they did not find 3 things there: above food and shelter. They did not find security, safety, and stability. And if your city cannot offer that, right now, when all begins, it might seem vibrant and recklessly, but as the days go by, so you can say bye-bye to people, investments, and businesses. And with your pride, you will stand in a city where tumbleweeds will rule. And you will ask yourself one day, with pain, when will the people of all kinds will come back? Don't wait till you lose something to value it. The chance is right now. Don't let your passions and emotions take the better part of you. Respond to the need that we all need right now, which is a peaceful place so we can raise our businesses, our families, and we can call it our country. In the end, it's your choice. You are free men. But not all free men are righteous.